Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you guys doing tonight? Tonight, I want to start off with a quote. Alright? Quote goes, end quote, "Give your children for 4 years, and I will sow the seeds, and you will never be able to unsow them." Who said that? Or actually, "Give me your children for 4 years and I will plant seeds and they will never be unsown." That's the actual quote, I'm sorry. So, who said that? I'll give you 4 choices. Okay? Was it Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Mao Zedong, or Vladimir Lenin? Well, let's do a process of elimination. Was it Hitler? He said something about doing 4 years. But it wasn't him. Was it Mao? No, it wasn't Mao. Was it Joseph Stalin? He obviously wanted to do indoctrination. No. Correct. That was Vladimir Ilyich Lenin, the founder of the Bolsheviks, creator of the Soviet Union. And the reason why I wanted to start off with that is to really reinforce what is going on within the educational system. Because with that one quote, it really defines what is happening through primary education, secondary education, and through subsequent education after that. What we're seeing right now with education is not education. It's not the ability to learn and expand your thoughts, but to put yourself in a nice, neat little box. And in the good words of the late George Carlin, makes obedient workers. It's not meant to help you. It's just there so that you are just another cog in the wall, another gear that's there for them to use. It's indoctrination. And what's a better way to look at things than going into the whole college scene, right? We look at the college scene and we go, let's go somewhere really extreme for this. Let's go to Berkeley University and how they have their safe spaces. They have these free speech circles. They have these things where if you were to say something wrong, you do wrong think, all of a sudden now you can be expelled. You can be heavy demerits. You could potentially have your GPA affected if a teacher doesn't like you. And we're seeing that in like the many very strongly liberal states, or I would even argue maybe Marxist states, because of their policies. We're seeing the removal of basic common sense, the creation of social Marxism, and all these things combined create basically an automaton. It does not actually help the student. And I have probably said this a billion times at this point, but I was going to become a teacher and I saw this firsthand in the classroom. I did my in-class study in a 4th grade classroom. And to see the students have all this personality, but not able to express it in the classroom outside of probably recess and lunchtime is horrible, because they gave them no personality. Sure, they had their personalities. Yes, every person has their individual personality, but they didn't have a human personality. They had a student personality. That was their perform. You know, every person who goes to work wears a uniform in some shape or form. Whether it be a suit and tie, whether it be an overcoat for doctors, or what if it's a uniform, a school uniform for a student. That's the same mentality that's going on there. You know, you wear your clothes, you grab your book bag, you have your notepads ready to go, you have your textbooks ready to go, and then all of a sudden now you're in student mode. Or as I call it, indoctrination mode. And what is the best way to really explain this stuff than going into possibly the mark of the beast itself, Common Core? Now, I did several projects of Common Core before I graduated with my associate's degree. I never went to my BA because of my disdain for what happened. But while I was there, I really delved into what it does, how it's implemented, what are the long-term plans for this, and the financial requirements for this. So let's kind of really dive into this stuff. Okay, so Common Core wasn't originally Common Core. Okay, Common Core is only the overarching piece of it. This is like the big boss of everything. Because initially, back during the time of George W. Bush, we had something called No Child Left Behind. Now, with No Child Left Behind, your student was allowed to be, well, it's the name, left behind. There was no way for a student to get the additional help they required. It just pushed everyone forward. You did not do well in school? Okay, you're not being left behind. You're going to be going forward. You're not going to be held back several years, 2-3 years. And that's what happened. After this happened, during the time of Barack Obama, they created Common Core. Now, let me show you what Common Core works. I have a pad of paper here, okay? Granted, I was never taught Common Core, so when I was in class study, teaching math of all things, I could not teach it because I have no idea how to work Common Core math, and I don't even want to. But I will do a small little thing. Alright, so pad of paper, give me 1 second. So let's do something simple. Let's just do 10 times 10, right? That's backwards, but 10 times 10. Now, with this, it's very simple. 10 times 10 equals 100. That is very basic stuff. You should be able to do that like that, because 10 times tables are like that. I was raised with Chicago math. Now, Chicago math, this thing is easy, so all you do is you do cross multiplication. Does 0 go into 0 anyway? No. Does 0 go into 1? No. Does 1 go into 0? 1. Does 1 go into 0? No. Does 1 go into 1? Yes. So what happens? Well, we have to reorganize that thing. And it becomes this in the middle, right? And then you just, cross. 0, 0, 1, 1. It becomes 100. Simple Chicago math. Nothing fancy about it. Now, Common Core, this is fun. Because what Common Core does is its whole purpose is to start factoring. So what we do here is 10 and 10, and you just factor, as you can see. I know it's kind of small, but they start factoring. So let's see. What are the factors of 10 and what are the factors of 10? Well, we have a 5 and a 2. A 5 and a 2. Okay. What are we supposed to do with this now? I don't know. Well, 5 times 5 is 25. What's 5 times 2? Well, that's 50. We have another 2 there. What do we do with that 2? Well, we multiply 50 by again. Gives us 100. See how more complicated that was? And this is really what's happening right now with that's just basic multiplication. We haven't even gone into advanced algebra or geometry or anything more complicated than just your basic math. But it gets worse. Because with math comes test scores and exams. And what you're seeing right now, especially with the transition from Chicago math into Common Core math, is that the proficiency of students to deal with basic arithmetic has gone down significantly. In certain studies, they said it has gone up to at least 75% inefficiency in basic calculations. And in one study, they actually went further than this, and they actually went to colleges and see how well they would perform, how students would perform in the college scene. They found out that majority of students, ballpark of about 80% of the students that came in who dealt with Common Core math coming into the college, had to do a remedial course. And these remedial courses are extremely easy, because most remedial courses in college are that math, literally just basic math. 1 plus 1 equals 2, 2 plus 2 equals 4, 10 times 10 is 100, 12 times 12 is 144, 15 times 15, well, let's see, 15 plus 15, 25, put the 5 down, put the 1 there, 5 times 1 is 5, 5, so basically, you get the idea. Yeah, see, that's what I'm trying to say, exactly. And then, with this as well, you have to look at the actual paperwork itself. Now, I don't have any of my college textbooks. Actually, I do. Give me 1 second. Alright, so I can't find what I'm looking for at this moment, but what I'm what I'm trying to get to is that a lot of these things happen to have the same company. A lot of things have the same company. Certain courses don't have this company, but it's relatively rare unless it's a professor that's doing the actual classwork, who actually has the textbook and all the materials. Besides that, the company you're looking for is Pearson. Pearson. It's a British company. So why have I brought up Pearson? Because Pearson has the majority stake in most educational material. We're looking at driver's ed tests. We're looking at Common Core. They actually formulated Common Core. With Common Core comes the PARCC test. Pearson also has college materials, high school materials, middle school materials, and every subject you can go to: social studies, science, math, English, biology. It's ridiculous. And they also have control over a lot of famous book companies. Some of these book companies would include Random House, Penguin, Simon & Schuster, DK Books, Eyewitness Books, etc., etc., etc. What you're seeing right now is the control of students, the control of their information. You're creating that box. That box is from finite information from one source. Last time I checked, if you ever did a research project, you needed more than one source. All of a sudden, teachers are now using the same source. They're using the same source for everything. Whatever happened to the diversity of information, the free market of ideas? Those things don't exist anymore, because we're dealing with only a finite amount of companies. What does this also create? Well, this also creates a mental and psychological change within the students, because since they're only learning one side of the story, they're only going to have one opinion of everything. Is there a reason why we're seeing a humongous jump in democratic socialism, let's just use socialism, communism, the idea of multi-genders, the quote-unquote SJW talking points, the rise of violence through Antifa, the rise of ostracization towards conservatives and other people who are considered using wrong-think. The amounts of not socialism, but censorship in social media. You're seeing this in social media such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. At least those are the big three right there. And you're even seeing places that actually accept these types of open opinions to things having a hard time actually getting a foothold. Places like Gap, who have had several companies not finance them because of their ideologies, because of their, their standings that we believe in the First Amendment. We believe that every person should be allowed to say whatever they say as long as it's not going to harm any other person. And I think that's a perfectly good standing. As long as it's not harming anybody, there is no reason not to have those things said. It might be uncomfortable, it might be a little bit unsettling, but it's not going to cause any harm. No victim, no crime. There shouldn't be a problem, yet there is. Now, later on, you start seeing this culminate into CEOs being part of these things. People who have gone through that system. Now, Vladimir was saying things about 4 years. Hi, Kim. How are you doing? Vladimir Lenin was saying 4 years. How long does a student go into the education system? Well, let's think. Most kids go into the education system in preschool or pre-K. That's around, if you it could be anywhere 3 or 4 years old. Let's just use 4 because that's an easier number. And then you go much more. Let's see. Kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Well, right there. That's 13 years. Actually, that's 14 years. What do we have next? College. College is the big one. So you have, if you're in a 4-year, you have freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year. And if you're going into a master's or a doctorate, that can be another 5 years. If you're going into 5 years for a doctorate. So you're looking at a person literally being in the system for their entire life. 25 years in some cases of just being in that system. Is there any question why these people are all messed up in the head, not understanding basic common sense, not understanding that there are more sides to an equation than just the one side you're told? That the reason why is because everything has been given to you for a reason, which is the point of control and conquer? Most people are not thinking that way because they don't know better, because they're never taught to think outside that box, because it is dangerous for them to think outside the box, because if they do start thinking outside the box, they'll start seeing there are a bunch of chinks in the armor. Some of these chinks are, for instance, if you question a teacher. Now that's one thing I really like doing. I like pressing a teacher on things. One of my favorite times of doing stuff like that was I was in my final course for my associate's degree for education, and the thing I asked was, I forgot exactly what subject we were what topic exactly we were talking about, but I was going that, is it wrong for a student to think outside the conventional ideas that are taught within the classroom? Hey, Brent. You're fine. You're fine. And the teacher was not very sure how to answer it. You saw the squirm, the and you had the, if you want to look ahead, error, wrong think. Because, people think in different ways. They're not going to get the same answer. In fact, if you actually let people think independently, they're going to actually have infinitely different answers to infinitely different ways of getting that answer. If, of course, there is no exact answer. Let's say 1 + 1 = 2. That's obvious. But let's say it's a free-form essay question. The student's not going to give the same answer all the time. In fact, there's a good chance they're going to give a completely different chance all the time. And that is really what's happening, is that molding. They keep on molding and molding and molding and molding. And through the elementary schools all the way up to high school, they do these things through disciplinary actions, do these things through fear tactics, they do these things through threatening, using threats. They do these things through enforcing educational standards, because it's considered a quality education for our students to make sure they're productive members of society. What does that mean? You're going to be in a work line. Well, welcome to the Netherlands. Welcome, Netherlands. How are you guys doing? That didn't come out properly. How are you doing? And other things that they'll do is they'll actually put you into in-class support, or into a special ed school classrooms, or you'll need special attention because this person is dangerous, or this person is not able to understand the things that we want to do. Yes, there are times where a student is not going to be able to comprehend or able to produce the necessary materials for a class. That is obvious, because we have students that are handicapped. They may have physical handicaps. They have mental handicaps. They have psychological handicaps. They have all these different handicaps, and you expect a student to be able to live in this freaking box that we have here. This box that we have here. It's a flat box. It's a flat box. That's what it is. It's not a big round box. Not round. Boxes aren't round. Wrong thing. Sorry. But you get the idea. Students are unique. Each one is completely unique, and so you need to have a unique approach to every one. Yes, you're going to have a basic premise of what you're going to teach, but if you're going to expect that each student can perform exactly the same way or in the same manner, you're strongly mistaken. Now, one of the things I do miss, though, is the amount of life in younger children, because there is such a look of innocence in their eyes. They know they are. These children, a lot of people think that little ones, early elementary students are not very smart or understanding of certain things, but, some of those people, some of those children, they're brilliant. They are so brilliant. Exactly. Did you round out enough? Are you able to produce the amount of results? At the end, it's all a quota. Are you able to produce the results we want, and can we produce these things in a predictable and observable manner? I hazard to say, yes, they got this now down to a science. Well, that's another one. Science is another interesting one, because science is not 100% accurate. We have all these ideas and theories and, theses about things, but if you start trying to disprove them in class, you start getting... This is another thing. They start getting angry at you. They will try to discredit you. I'm sorry, but if you're in a classroom and you're dealing with theories, first of all, a theory is theoretical. A theory, being theoretical, means that it is not definitive. There's evidence to prove this thing, but it is not set in stone. That's why we have things like the theory of gravity, the theory of, what's it called? The theory of relativity. Basically, shave your sharp edges. Especially when it comes to dealing with delinquents, children who are considered delinquents. They don't want to be there. They don't want to be there. Don't let them. They don't want to be there. They're old enough. If they're old enough, if they're old enough, they don't have to be there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And really going back to the point I was hitting is that idea of classroom really trying to reinforce things. And here's a really funny thing, is that they always talk about reinforcement. This classwork is here is to help you reinforce these topics. These classroom topics here are meant to help you reinforce these topics so that when it comes to dealing with standardized tests, you're able to do it. You know what I call that? I call that teaching to a test. I don't call that learning. I call that teaching to a test and memorizing. And they're like, you must study these things. You must take these things and reinforce the understanding of these topics. No, I don't know of any time I've actually had to study for a test. Minus a few times. Music theory was never my thing. I had to take a music theory class, and I'm not even a musical person. I sing, but I don't actually deal with charts, musical charts, and things like that. But I had to take one. And I didn't have to take an art class, even though I can't write art to save my life. Or write art, paint, or use photography, or deal with, things like that. But I had to. And that's because I am very good I'm very photographic when it comes to memory. I'm not exactly photographic, but I have a very close to photographic memory with these things. So when they talk about memorize these things, sure, I'll memorize these things, and I won't study because I've memorized them. And then you look at the test, and they're like, you did done. You did good. Yeah, because I can memorize things. That's why I'm good at Trivial Pursuit. That's why a lot of people don't like playing Trivial Pursuit with me, because I know trivial things. But, all humor aside, this really kind of shows a dark side to this. This idea that molding students happens at a young age and goes on until their adulthood. And, like I was saying, safe spaces. Big thing that recently came out with safe spaces. Oh, that's hurting my feelings. Reals versus feels. I'm sorry, feels do not help in the real world. Feels don't help. Reals, that's what's happening. These people, oh, you're hurting my feelings. You're insensitive. No, I'm being rational. I'm being realistic. I'm not hurting your feelings because I want to hurt your feelings. I'm hurting your feelings because I have to. And because I need to break you out of this idea of a safe spot. This idea of a safe circle. What was the new one? What is the one that I remember hearing a while back? Oh, yeah. Go woke, get broke. That's a big one right now. We're seeing that a lot in mass media. Because, like it or not, a lot of these things go into mass media as well. Who watched The Last Jedi? Or Star Wars The Last Jedi? Or has watched any TV show within the last 10 years, or movie within the last 10 years? Recently, they all get, woke, if you will. Oh, this is racially insensitive. How dare you do that? Oh, you're appropriating my culture. How dare you do that? Oh, why are you doing that to this obviously indefensible person? Don't you know that's racist? You know how racist it is to actually claim that someone's racist when you're actually not racist? Just putting it out there. For instance, they always have to have a powerful woman nowadays. It's always the powerful woman role. I know a lot of powerful women. You know, Star Wars, you know, they recently started going out these female leads. I know a very strong woman in Star Wars before these most recent movies. Her name's Carrie Fisher. She played Princess Leia. She shot better than Han Solo majority of the time in episode 4, 5, and 6. And that was in the 70s, right? We didn't have to worry about how strong a woman was back then because you didn't have to have that strong woman in that, you know, that safe spot because, you know, they let women be women. They let men be men. They let people just be people. Joan of Arc is another one. Frickin' Joan of Arc, 14 years old, led the frickin' French to victory against the English. Said that she heard God. I think it was actually Gabriel. The angel Gabriel. But frickin' 14 years old and able to fight the British to the end. And they won. Until they didn't. At least she didn't. Because, you know, it was heresy that she heard voices in her head and then they burned her on the stake in Paris. That's lovely. Yeah, thank you for helping us save us from destruction from the British. But we're going to have to put you on a stake because you hear weird things in your voices. You hear weird voices in your head. Says the voices in my head. It's sad, right? These people do great things. Let's see. Let's do some other really powerful women that you don't need power. I mean, what's her name? Ida Tarbell, I think her name was. She was a muckraker back in the Gilded Age, which would be the 1890s. You have, let's see, Florence Nightingale, Soldier of Truth, Rosa Parks, Johann de Witt. I've heard of Johann de Witt. But we have changed society in an idea, and we basically, you know, and what happened was that the education just got weaker and weaker. And we're seeing this happening throughout all of education, throughout all of culture. We're seeing this in Hollywood. We're seeing this in religion. We're seeing this in schools. We're seeing this in politics. We have, for instance, what was her name? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And she talked about this Green New Deal. And, you know, they have, like, men have to urinate in empty milk jugs. Put it into the window for 5 hours. And so they can sanitize. I thought you were getting rid of plastics. And yet you want us to use plastics? At least use hemp plastics. They're biodegradable. But in all seriousness, I mean, when I hear about the Green New Deal, the Green New Deal goes back to at least 2012 in my most recent account. And that was because of Jill Stein. She ran back in 2016, but she also ran before that in 2012. And Green New Deal, Jill Stein was part of the Green Party. I wonder where that green came from. It was from the hair, wasn't it? No. Green Party, Green New Deal. Kind of goes without saying. Green Party, Green New Deal. And now all of a sudden the Democrats are talking about we need this Green New Deal. We need all these wonderful things. We need to redo the entire infrastructure and make sure carbon dioxide is not killing everybody. And farting cows are not releasing methane into the air. I go back to a quote that I remember hearing about Al Gore. There was, I think it was 10,000 miles of ice in Antarctica when he talked about the inconvenient truth. Fast forward 10 years, and there's still that 10,000 meters of ice. Miles of ice. That's still there. It never changed. Actually, the ecology, the environment is actually improving. It's not deteriorating, it's actually improving. So, was that, we wish we had a president like yours? Exactly. I'm not very sure how the Dutch do things. I'm not sure of their particular political system. I believe you folks still have you still have royalty. I'm not sure if you have a monarchy and a parliament, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure how similar it is to like the British Parliament, but is it similar? I'm just curious. Because I know the United States government is very different than Europe. But anyways, moving on to this. Another thing that's kind of really stupid when it comes to all this thing is that they, in the educational system, and when it comes to, and I'm going to go into social science, and going into politics in this because I like politics, and I like to connect this to that. And one of the things I like talking about is the Electoral College. Now, with the Electoral College, they're like, oh, we got to get every person able to vote. Their votes count. We have the Electoral College. That means that people are being disenfranchised. No. The reason why we have the Electoral College is so that big states can't control the vote. Alright? Let's look at the Electoral College. What does it do? Well, it gives each state an amount of electoral votes. These electoral votes add up to, I think, that number changes every so often. I believe it's like 500 and something. Don't quote me. But if you have let's say you have a national popular vote, no Electoral College, you have a national popular vote. Every state, just does a popular vote. Okay. Hey, Sarah. So we're saying about the popular. Let's say there's a national popular vote. What happens with that? Well, when that happens, you have big states win. You have places like California, Texas, New York, Florida, arguable sense, New Jersey, all conquer the vote. So you just need a vote. You just need to control these things, and you win. What the Electoral College does is that it forces you to go to other states, because I have seen it many times that if you have if you actually campaign in key states, like for instance, if you want a very strong base, you have to hit the Eastern Seaboard. Everywhere in the Eastern Seaboard, not just one place, but every place. You got to hit New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, Rhode Island, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont. Maine's interesting because I believe Maine's one of the few ones that actually have a district. They don't have electoral votes statewide. They actually have it districtly. And I think they also did that in Nebraska. But like I said, you have to hit those states. You have to hit Alabama, New Mexico, Texas, Arizona, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Wisconsin, Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Washington, Idaho, California, Utah, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Iowa. You get the idea. I'm naming every single state because every single state has a proportionate amount of electoral votes based on their population, so that they actually have a fighting chance, like they should. Right? Like, last time I checked, it says the United States of America, not the California, Texas, New York, Florida, conglomerate. At least that's the last time I checked. They want to introduce a national popular vote. Oh, thank you. Also, going into states now, when it comes to this whole education, is they're talking about how it's racist for voter ID. And voter ID is a brilliant idea because now you can start counting on the vote. You have to actually have a piece of paper or a slip or a card that says, hey, I can vote. So what's happening? Places like California, Chicago City, you have places like New York and New Jersey, my home state of New Jersey. What they're trying to do is make it so that, for instance, in Europe you have migrants. In the United States, we have illegal immigration. Basic same thing, but different name. But you have these illegal immigrants who are coming in, and now they have all these safety things. They have their food stamps, they have their health care, they have these stipends, which is just money to them. And what's happening is that these people now they're trying to get driver's licenses. So for our friends outside of the United States, and I don't mean to single you out because I know that I want to kind of give some basis. When you're going into the DMV, I don't have a DMV. I have the MVC, the Department of Motor Vehicles. In New Jersey, you have something called the Motor Vehicles. What is it called? I actually don't. I just call it the freaking DMV. It's the MVC, but I just call it the DMV because it's the same thing. But when you're there and you go for either registering your doing registration, driver's licenses, whatever you want to do, they ask you, and this is normally for renewing a license, do you want to register to vote? Right there, it just asks you, do you want to register to vote while you're getting a license? Do you want to register to vote? You can press, boop, yes, and all of a sudden you're registered to vote. Do you see how dangerous that is? Giving people who are, first of all, illegally in, the ability to get a driver's license, and have the ability for them to press a button and say yes, and all of a sudden they're voting. But it's considered racist and xenophobic to have some type of voter ID, because an ID for a R-rated movie, an R-rated movie, an M-rated an M-rated game. It's racist to have ID for smoking or alcohol or riding on a plane or getting a train ticket if you're going through Amtrak, or let's see, anything else that requires verification of age or other documentations of residency. But voting is racist. Even though it's more important than that movie, that airplane flight, that video game, that alcohol, those cigarettes, those over-the-counter medicines. It's racist to actually have an ID for how racist. Oh, I cannot get that Allegra D. It's racist to have Allegra D. No, it's not. We just make sure you're old enough. You want to see something? I got for all my friends out there, I got my yellow vest. I got this at work, actually. This is my yellow vest from when I used to work outside as a carriage pusher at my local supermarket. I have my yellow vest. I also have my CAG hat. I don't have a MAGA hat. I have a CAG hat, but it does just the same thing. Keep America great. Because America is a damn awesome country. I don't know if you noticed this, but I can be very sarcastic while doing these things, and I apologize, but coming from an upbringing coming from a very very liberal upbringing, going through all these things, being a frickin' SJW for several years, basically spouting all these things until you realize these things are stupid. Why the hell you're doing it? And this is really, you know, some people are, you know, taking their awakening on, say, I don't know, you know what? How is it? I'm wearing the hat to the end of the video. I have this here. Might as well. We're throwing in the vest as well. We're going full Monty on this. I don't even use the word right, but yeah, I'm gonna choose my yellow vest and my hat. Because it's a free country. Apparently I'm racist now. I have a hat on. Apparently, this hat is racist. How naughty of you. How dare you say those things? Thinking that I'm allowed to express my own voice and able to love every person. And able to have an idea of a robust and diverse country that has multiple different cultures and multiple different backgrounds. That's totally racist of you. Anyways. No, it's not racist, actually. That actually is what you call diversity. It's what you call, you know, it's called diversity of culture, diversity of names, diversity of everything. This is just diversity as it all. Well, the hat's scaring you. Suck it up, Buttercup, because you know what? This water's scaring me too. I'm scared because it actually tastes decently and it's distilled water. So, in closing, because I've been on this for almost an hour now, in closing, what you're seeing right now is the creation of social Marxism within society, which makes people think, you know, that everything is out to get you. Not many things are out to get you, except maybe the deep state cabal, politicians that don't like you because of, you know, not agreeing with them. Most of Hollywood, we're going to deal with those people. What was I thought? Actually, a lot of things I've done so far is completely ad-libbed. Everything so far has been ad-libbed, so I have no idea what you're talking about, to be honest. But that's what it is. So, you guys take care. Really, a cop questioned your vest. I'm surprised. It's a vest. It's not nothing fancy. It's a reflective vest. It's there to protect you at dark. You know, all of a sudden the lights off. Reflective silver. But guys, I'm gonna call it a night. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I am probably gonna follow up on this. So you guys take care. Have a great night. How do you pronounce your name? Ank? I think you pronounce your name. Ank? I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but it's in the Netherlands. It must be late at night right now. It must be like 2 o'clock in the morning over there. But Punisher, love the Punisher. So, anyways, you guys take care. Have a good one. I'm probably gonna do this again. So you guys take care. Stay tuned. Have a good night. Oh, by the way, before I forget, I'm going to be uploading this to my YouTube channel. And my YouTube channel, once I upload things, will automatically go to my BitChute. So, I will give you the links for the YouTube. Follow it over there. If you want to subscribe, go right ahead. And it will also, you can also follow up to my BitChute. That way, if things get censored on YouTube, it will automatically be over there. Isn't that convenient? So, you guys take care. Have a good one. have a good night. And just like I thought, it was 2 o'clock. So, take care. You have a good night. Bye.